Susan Kraybecker is with us now to tell us more of her remarkable story. Welcome to the 700 Club. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, Susan, I think there are a lot of young women today who look at the whole Playboy thing. I mean, those little Playboy bunny stickers are on even young high school, junior high girls' clothing, socks, purses, all kinds of things. They think it's very glamorous looking.
Yeah, it's become innocuous. It's not shocking anymore.
What was it actually like for you to live at the mansion?
Well, at first I was terrified because, you know, there are things you hear about the mansion, and most of those things are exactly what you hear. But then you get used to it, and you get dangerously accustomed to things that before would have shocked you, and you lose that shock factor. The minute that something doesn't shock you that used to shock you, you better check yourself, because it's very hard to go back.
Happens before you know it, doesn't it?
It really does.
You have overcome so much from your past. How did you find healing from the things that began early on in your life as a child?
Well, when I was going through the sexual abuse, I couldn't tell anyone. I was afraid to tell anyone. I was told not to tell anyone. And then my mother found my grandfather doing it to me, and I just remember thinking that I must be the strongest little girl in the whole world because of that Bible verse that says God will not give you anything harder than you can handle. So my first thought was, then I must be the strongest little girl in the whole world, because I mean, I don't know anybody that's gone through what I've gone through. Yeah. So that was my first reaction, and thank God that I had been marinated in the scripture from Bible school and when I was little. Sunday school, because I probably would not have had that reaction.
Were you ever able to forgive your grandfather? Did you come to a place where you could release that?
I felt sorry for him the minute that I realized it was wrong. My grandfather was confronted by my parents, and he said, "She told me to do it." And when he said that, I saw he was scared, and he just looked scared and he was shaking, and I felt sorry for him then. I was so ashamed after I realized that he'd been having what was called sex. I didn't know what it was called. And then I was very ashamed, but then I looked at him and I felt so sad for him to be being yelled at by adults and shaking, and I really forgave him right away.
Where did you go with the shame that you felt? How did you deal with that?
I didn't deal with it well. After it was over, you know, there was no therapy. I lived in the Deep South, middle-class family. There was no therapy, and when it was over, it was like, that's the past. We're not going to talk about it. So I never got to talk about it. I could only think about it, and it was something that you think about all the time because it was happening to me for so long that it was a part of my daily life, and all of a sudden, I'm realizing what a horrible thing has happened to me. So I really would have loved to have died when I was 8. You know, I just couldn't believe that this thing happened to a little girl like me.
But Jesus Christ changed your life in spite of all of that down the road. You talked about Haiti making a difference in coming back to the faith of your childhood before all of this had happened. How did you wind up going to Haiti and working with children there?
Well, I believe it's because when I did realize what the horror of what had happened to me, that I wanted to die, and I promised God that if He would help me and if He would just let me be okay, then, because I felt like I was losing my mind, and I just wanted to be okay. I wanted to feel safe, and I promised Him. I said, "If you do that, please, God." And I talked to Him like my best friend when I was little, and I said, "Please, just make me okay, and I'll help other little girls. I'll make sure it doesn't happen to them." And when I went to Haiti, the first time that I went there, I slept in the slum the first night, and I remember thinking, this is the first time in my life that I feel equal, that I feel on the same level, and these were peasants, and they, you know, were so poor and had nothing, and that's exactly how I felt when that happened to me. I felt like I'd been stripped of my childhood, of everything that I believed in and thought. Nothing was for sure the way it looked anymore.
It's almost like Jesus gave you a vision that your life could matter for other people.
I thought to myself, now it makes sense that all that happened to me, because I looked at those little children, and some of them had the same look in their eyes as I did when I crawled up on the bathroom counter and looked in the mirror when I was little and wiped my tears. I mean, I could just, it's so much easier to wipe someone else's tears when you've dried your own.
Yeah. Susan, what would you say to people who are watching, listening to you right now, who might be trapped in some kind of sexual involvement that's made them feel like they're not worth anything?
First of all, get up again and reach up, and someone will certainly be there to grab your hand, and it'll be God. And the thing is, I didn't think the door would be unlocked when I went back. I mean, I was pretty sure that door was just closed on me. But I tell you, I never felt so more loved than when I loved him the first time.
Yeah. I want to say to all of you who are watching today that it's never too late to go back to the Father heart of God. In fact, he's been waiting for you for a long time. So if Susan's story today has touched and stirred something in your heart, maybe you're somebody who's sitting in front of your computer watching this, and you're using that computer for things that are making you feel filled with shame. That's not what God created you for. You're a child of the King. You need to reach up, grab his hand, and live like that. We've got something we'd like to send you. It's called Trapped in Temptation. It's absolutely free. If you find yourself bound up in sexual sin, you can be free from it. Call 1-800-759-0700. Ask for it. We'll send it to you absolutely free. Susan, thank you for your candor today and for your heart for Jesus. It's been great to have you here.